Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Granada Hills. My name is Nancy Woods. I'm the assistant minister here. Our minister will be back for sure next week. He just arrived back in town today, but he'll be back at the church beginning next week. So this is called Wednesday Night Live, in which we spend time meditating together. And I welcome all of you to join us. And as we start this service, we do what we call lighting the flames of faith, a call to service. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all people, all faiths, all sentient beings come from one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. We lit the first candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We lit the second candle for the shamanic tradition, honoring the beliefs and practice of all indigenous people, the way of primal spirituality. We lit the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We lit the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We lit the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We lit the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We lit the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We lit the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We lit the ninth candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. We lit the 10th candle for those who are as yet unaware of spirit in their lives and the space we hold for them here at the center. So, and the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to experience the healing flame of God's eternal love.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I'm one with the Spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I surrender. I'm one with the Spirit all around me. I surrender. I trust in God.
So as we open our minds and hearts to that divine trust, trusting in the presence that is guiding and directing all things. So in recognition of this truth and this understanding, we open our hearts and minds and know that this time that we are spending together is blessed. We are blessed with the awareness and understanding that as we turn towards that which is the creative presence of life, it is always awaiting our recognition and embracement of it. So as we joyously take this opportunity to say our gratitude and appreciation for being aware of it, for being open and receptive to it, to know that it is guiding and directing this time that we are spending together, to accept and understand that the infinite intelligence of the universe is always given to us in such a way that we can easily recognize that it is flowing into expression as all that is around us, in us and through us. And in this recognition comes the support, the nurturing, the harmony, the peace, the greater good of love that we are seeking to experience in all our activities. For this awareness and this understanding, we welcome the time that we have here together to acknowledge it and to step into it in a greater, more expanded way. For this, we say thank you. And together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is. So, as we usually have a facilitator in the evening, but our facilitator had a little car problem, so she's not here tonight. But I am grateful for the opportunity to always spend this time in meditation, in awareness that Spirit is always working to us and working through us. So we have been journeying through the 365 this year as a center. We have chosen to follow the daily meditation as a guide for all of us to kind of unite on a similar spiritual idea. And so as we do this as a community, we invite you to join us if you want to follow us on this journey, because Holmes does a wonderful job with these, and it seems like they're always so appropriate. And today, the July 27th, I experienced the wholeness of God. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect is come, then that which is part shall be done away. And that is from 1 Corinthians 13:9-10. And Holmes is talking about, in his first part, he said, how true it is that we do not see through a glass darkly or only in part. But to all of us, there comes fleeting moments that our inward vision is open. We seem to look upon a newer and broader horizon. The apostle tells us that when that which is perfect shall come, then that which is part shall be done away with. What he is really saying is that we are all at a certain place in evolution. But there is a complete certainty before us. We shall continuously expand, experience more and more of that life that already is perfect. But there is no reason why this awakening should not come. For we are not really waiting on God. God is waiting on us. Behold, I stand at the door, and all nature waits our recognition. And even the divine spirit must await our cooperation. So as Holmes is saying, he ends it with affirming that today my eyes are open more widely, and I look upon the broader horizon. Across all the experiences I may have had that were limited or unpleasant, I now see the rosy hue of the new dawn. Letting go of that which is little, I now enter into a larger concept of life, dropping all fear. I entertain faith, realizing that every form of uncertainty is seen only in part. I open my spiritual eye to that which is wholeness. And even as I do this, the limitation that the fear, the doubt slip away from my experience, taking their departure in quietness and peace as I turn to that which is greater, better, and fuller of eternal life, of happiness and presence and peace. Today, my eyes are open to the breadth and the height and the depth of life that is God. Life is good. Is that life that is good, law that is perfect. You know, when you read this, and he talks about falling away in part, the interesting thing about it is when we think about spirit, we think about it being perfect in a sense. But when we think about our lives, we see places and things that don't seem so perfect. But one of the things that I have noticed, and what he's saying here, is that when I look back on my life, those things that seemed imperfect, those things that seemed to have been the struggle, those things that seemed to have been the dark night of the soul kind of experience, there was always something rich that came out of it. And so this is what he's saying. We see it in part. And it's kind of like if you look, as you have a multiple colored bulb, and if you only see one side of it, it may look blue, but you don't see the other part that has different colors on it. So with our life, as we see the experience when we're going through it, it seems like it's all against us. But when we later on realize that in that concept of this too will pass, that's the consciousness that we really have, that this too will pass. And if we look at those incidents, each one of them taught us something that is actually a plus for us today. So if we start looking at our experiences from that perspective, this is why we can drop away the fear, drop away the resistance, and realize that as we walk through our experiences, whatever experience we're going through is temporary. It is not all. And the sooner we recognize that it is temporary, and that this too has come to bring us an awareness that will expand our ability to create and express spirit, then that will take away the fear of those experiences and the trauma of it, or the more of the pain of it. So embracing the idea that life happens in such a way to bring us an expanded understanding. And the more we see this, the more we understand that the more harmonious we move through life's experiences. And it seems like you have less problems with your relationship. It seems like you have less problems with your whatever the financial issues you have. You have less problems with whatever experience you're going through. So it's almost like, okay, I can deal with this because you know that it's temporary. So long as I don't resist it, I don't drag out the pain and the discomfort from it and take it into the next day's experience, so I can let it go. I think that a lot of us have often held on to a lot of the pain and difficulties that have happened to childhood, through young adulthood, or whatever life experience, and through multiple relationships. But I'm learning more and more, and I really, really see the difference when I recognize that each experience is temporary. Each experience is offering me an awareness that would be a benefit to me down the road. And as soon as I look at it from that place, it takes on a whole different perspective. Reverend Dr. Mike had this book on his desk. It's by Fenwick Holmes. And I think I shared something for it the last time, The Law of Mind. I like it so much I end up ordering my own copy because I never realized how wonderful this guy, his writings were. But when he's talking about this, and I was trying to look at what we were going to meditate on tonight, because I feel like if we can kind of unify with our meditation, we lift each other up in energy if we share that idea or the concept that we're thinking about. And as we look at it, and what he says here is, and this is from his book, The Law of Mind in Action. And I'm not sure what page this is. There's so much notes in this. Oh, it's page 58. It says, I cannot fail, because God fainteth not, neither is he weary. I wait on the Lord, that he may renew my strength. I trust in the Lord, and I am therefore as Mount Zion, which cannot be moved, but abideth forever. And he says, now take time to meditate on the wonderful powers and possibilities open to us. It says, your resources cannot fail. Failure is due to the fact that you have not drawn upon God. Take what you will, ask, and you shall receive. Then meditate on the fact that as you share the nature of God, there is no mind in the universe greater than the mind in you, in us. I need to read that again. Take what you will, ask, and you shall receive. Then meditate on the fact that as you share the nature of God, there is no mind in the universe greater than the mind in you. That's not a lot, you guys. When then should you cringe before the opinions of men? Why should you walk in fear of criticism, tradition, or prejudice, or others? I form my own opinions. I make my own judgments. I set my own standards. I am an individual. I am a master of life. I do not try to tell others how they must go. By my life, I show them how they may go. I am glad for this new freedom of consciousness. I am glad that I share the nature of God. For this means that I am eternal. I am indivisible from the Father. I am truth. I am life. I am wisdom. In my inner being, the inner man is perfect. The day by day, I shall now show forth this perfection in my acts and thoughts. I am a child of the living God, and I am glad. I think that this is very powerful in the sense that he's telling us to meditate on the idea and the understanding that the consciousness that we are experiencing is the consciousness of God. There's only one consciousness. And that means that you have access to that divine intelligence. So unifying in that relationship in such a way that we are relying on that spiritual presence within, and where he actually tells us the only reason we fail is because we have you're not drawing upon the divine presence that is within each one of us. And I can really identify with that, because the things that I thought were holding me back, the things that I thought were causing me to suffer, as I began to understand that nothing outside of me was causing my problem, but the thinking that is within me was where all the issues were coming from. And I learned that in an incident where I had to do a research paper of a relationship paper with my husband and when I was at University of Santa Monica. And in that research paper, I had all these things I wanted him to fix about our relationship. And as I did the study and I had the criteria, and each time I was looking, the more I did it, the more I recognized that what I was saying that I wanted out of him, I didn't have myself. I was not doing it myself. So much so that when it was time for us to summarize the study, I had to rewrite my criteria and expand it, because all the things that I had on that list were no longer his issues. I found that they were my issues that I was projecting out onto him. So I was saying, wow. It was amazing to see that. And it really made it clear that what they meant when they said, it is the result of our consciousness that we are experiencing. And this is what he's telling us. And the more I rely on spirit, the less I even judge myself too. The less I blame or judge myself for the things I thought I was doing that were errors. So what I want us to do together tonight, let's just meditate. Like he said, meditate on the idea that the consciousness that is in each one of us, the mind that is in us, is the mind of God. And there is no mind in the universe greater. So, it is a very liberating, very freeing way to think and to perceive this. And I think that it's the kind of thing that we are our society is beginning to gain this understanding, and there are more books that are telling us, more research that is proving this. But this guy wrote this book, I don't know, probably about 50. Ernest Holmes' brother. He wrote it in 1919. And I can tell you, I looked on the internet when I was looking for his book, the number of books that would kind of verify what he said was endless. That many books that are from physicists, from scientists, from scholars. So we are now all aware more than ever the power of our consciousness. And the more we rely on that consciousness that is within us, the consciousness that we know that created the universal consciousness, is that we are relying on. So let's get comfortable and spend a few minutes just meditating and taking our time. So and ground ourselves by making sure that our feet are flat. On the ground. You get comfortable and make sure your back is supported. Allow ourselves to just rest in the idea that the perfect presence of life is who and what we are. We are Spirit's expression of life on this plane. That the one consciousness, that is the consciousness of the divine, is in each one of us. And we have access to it. And that consciousness comes to us, through us, and as us, according to our recognition and embracement of it. And as we allow ourselves to just breathe in the wonderful air that is this presence that is nurturing our body. And as we let go and release, know that each aspect of what we're doing is the harmony of the universe saying yes to life. So as we feel the comfort, recognizing that we're pulling from that infinite intelligence of the universe, and that this physical form has allowed us to bring it in our awareness in such a way that we can embrace it. Just be still and know that I am that I am. Allow ourselves to know and understand that there is but one mind, one power, one consciousness, all-knowing, all-powerful, and absolutely everywhere. So let's rest in this idea, allowing it to just penetrate every thought, every aspect. The breath, the thought, the feeling, all of this is spiritual's process of life showing itself as us. be gentle. Bring our minds and our thoughts back to this room, this place, and this time. It's with a heart that knows and understands that it is. The heart of the divine. A mind that is aware that it is an expression from the consciousness of the divine. A mind that knows that this moment is the most powerful moment it is. So as we open ourselves and invite each, everyone that hears my voice to willingly open themselves to what it is that's their heart's desire to create, to express, to manifest. So if it's manifesting the prosperity, the abundance of the universe, know that our financial life reflects oneness of the source so abundantly, just as the abundance of leaves on a tree. That abundance in our financial affairs is being reflected. As we open our hearts and our minds to create the newness of life and that avenue through which we want to create, to express, to manifest. And whether it's just beautifying our home or just working in whatever place we are, or whatever experience, that we seek to allow the infinite to create newness. We let it flow with ease and grace. Whether it's to write that book, or just acknowledge the spirit within, the ability to do that. Create. Knowing this and knowing that this consciousness is the consciousness out of which the love of the universe is able to be in and through every life that's in existence. Whether it's the life of a tree, an animal, a person, or individual, whatever it is, that love, that unifying, powerful love that gives that sense of security, that sense of support, that sense of comfort, that sense of being able to enjoy and appreciate this moment. This is the love. And it flows through us, as us. Because the love comes out of this one consciousness that is our consciousness, right here, right now. We feel the harmony, the power, and the wonder of it. It's loving, creative beings. We embrace the idea that this physical form that we decide to bring forth into expression as the oneness of life is acknowledging that every cell, every organ, every aspect of our physical form knows and appreciates and it manifests its unifying nature of spirit itself. Perfect avenue through which it brings activities of all kinds with ease and grace. So as physical, creative, loving, prosperous beings, we have said yes to life. So we can go from this moment, releasing that which has gone before and thanking it for whatever it has contributed to our awareness. And we go forth from this moment, loving what is, loving who is, loving all that's coming into manifestation. We're able to perceive the contribution of our lives and know that it is significant that we each are here. And each life has a purpose. Each life has a way in which it contributes. So we lovingly embrace the opportunity to perceive that in everyone around us. And we go forth from this moment, from this experience together, and rejoice because this wondrous opportunity to practice being all that we can be in every way and every form. It's a joyous moment for all. We join together in this acknowledgement. We join together in embracing this concept. And we join together in knowing the allness of life in its multiple ways of being is revealed in the multiple beings that are being. So, the greatness starts in this moment. So together, we join in acknowledging this truth, this law, and this life as we say together, and so it is. Yeah. Thank you all. And I want to thank everybody in the audience out there for joining us, whether you listen to us now or in the future. And know that the spiritual energy of life has blessed this center. And we thank you all for supporting and blessing us. And next week, you definitely will have an opportunity to experience our Reverend Dr. Mike Morrow as our facilitator. So, and come out in person to welcome him back and join us Sunday because we have in-house service. So we want everyone to join us, to come out and be in this atmosphere of love, of an opportunity to build and manifest even more of the good of life. So it is with this idea, I think the only announcements that I have that which I did not make, let me see what the announcements are. Actually, Nikki's, Reverend Nicole's Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. is continuing in person here at the center. And there is a course in weight loss being done by a minister from Pasadena. And she's inviting anybody that wants to join her. She took the last one with Reverend Mike, and now she's doing her own. So she's inviting people to join her on that, in that class. And also like to invite anybody that is really excited about creating a new and expanded experience in life to find a practitioner online at CSLGH.org. You can own that. So, and that's all the announcements I have for tonight. And thank you all for joining me, and I thank you all for a wonderful, wonderful experience of just being in the silence together, to being in the spiritual energy of knowing the Spirit is all that there is. And for that, I say thank you and good night.